All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, where, like it or not, we're going to be having a rematch come up, and Claressa Sheilds, the best, in my opinion, the best female fighter to ever put on a pair of gloves at this point. I know there's Ann Wolfe out there. It's just kind of tough, man. Her and Ann Wolfe right there. However, definitely the best female boxer that we have in the world today. Claressa Sheilds gives her 2 cents on Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford and supports Errol and says the fight will go differently this time than it did the last. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. And in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, where the queen of boxing, the #1 fighter in women's boxing, Claressa, always talking. Most times I love it, but sometimes she be over the top with it. Sheilds, the GOAT, the greatest woman of all time, has chimed in on this rematch that will be taking place probably in December between Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Bud Crawford. Before I get into the details of it, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And shout out to everybody that is a big supporter of the channel. Thank you for everybody that comes to the live streams that we do pretty much every day of the week, including Sunday, where we have my co-host, Blood Boxing, the great boxing historian on the show, OG Boxing Talk. But let's get into this. All right, Claressa Sheilds says that this fight with Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford is going to be more competitive than the last fight. However, she still picks Terrence Crawford to win the fight. Now, that is in stark contrast to what a lot of people are saying going into this fight, going into this rematch. I'm hearing people say that they don't want to see the fight. They don't think the fight needs to happen. You have, in a very, I gotta tell you, hypocritical fashion, Deontay Wilder's trainer saying that Errol Spence Jr. doesn't deserve the rematch. And I'm trying to tell you, dude, I like him a lot. I'm a big Deontay Wilder fan, however, his trainer, whose name is skipping my mind right now because I'm old, not out of disrespect, but just, God dog, man. I hate that the name is not coming off the top of my head. It's probably better that it doesn't. Said that Errol Spence doesn't deserve a rematch with Terrence Crawford, even though Deontay Wilder got his rematch with Tyson Fury in the 3rd fight. And the fights literally played out the same. It literally played out the same. Deontay Wilder looked just like Errol Spence Jr. looked against Terrence Crawford. Deontay Wilder looked the same way in a fight with Tyson Fury the 2nd time. Tyson Fury absolutely, positively bowled him over, beat him up, and stopped him, right? And actually, the only difference was that the similarities were the same. They both got up every time they got knocked down, and they wanted to keep fighting. The only difference is Errol Spence Jr.'s trainer, Derek James, didn't throw the towel in. It wound up getting waved off, and Harvey Doc said, nah, that's enough, right? But other than that, it's the same thing. So to have his trainer say that he doesn't deserve the rematch kind of flies in the face of Deontay Wilder, who also had a rematch under the same scenario. However, please remember also that feeds perfectly into the notion that Claressa Shields had, which is that this second fight with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, with Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford can be more competitive than the first fight. And I have a suspicion that it will be more competitive than the first fight, because I do believe that Errol Spence was definitely physically off in that first fight. And just like I believe that Deontay Wilder was physically off in the second fight with Tyson Fury. Absolutely believe that's the case. Now, when Claressa Shields says that that Terrence Crawford will win the fight, hey man, it's hard to pick. It's hard to say that won't be the case because of how the last fight it turned out. It is definitely a scenario where I think reasonable people will pick Terrence Crawford to win the fight. However, the idea that Errol cannot perform better and redeem himself to himself, I think is ridiculous. He absolutely positively can, especially if this is just a scenario, if it's a scenario where his body was really, really off. Now, one of the things that I've noticed looking at the pictures that have been released by Errol Spence, for some reason, people are saying that he looks fat. He doesn't look fat to me. He just looks very, very big and muscular compared to what he looked like when he was getting into the ring with Terrence Crawford and what he was looking like for several weeks before that fight. Very well could just be a scenario where he was really, really drained. Also, but if he's in the same physical situation, then hey, the same thing is going to happen again. But I'm in full support of these fighters being able to get what they negotiated for. And there has been times in boxing where rematches have looked dramatically different than the first one. But Errol deserves to get his money like everybody else deserves to get his money. And one of the advantages that Errol's going to have in this second fight than he had in the first is at least, I don't know if it's an advantage. One of the things that you can take into consideration is the utter disrespect that Terrence Crawford is having for Errol Spence going into the fight. And if Terrence Crawford gets a different Errol Spence and a sharper Errol Spence, and he's underestimated this dude intellect and mentally, dude, things can switch up, man. For sure. Do I think they will? It's hard for me to see that they will. But I definitely do believe that Errol knew going into that fight that he wasn't right. But anyway, or that he wasn't as optimal, right? He wasn't as optimal. You got guys like your Danis Ugas saying, man, I don't even know who that dude was. That's not the same guy that I was fighting. Nah, that's not the same guy. Well, but the question is will he or can he ever become the same guy again? You just don't know. In boxing, you can get old overnight, and you have situations, especially with a guy that got thrown 50 feet out of a car and landed on cement, where you could most definitely still have, major issues related to that. As far as your neurological, as far as your wiring and all of that goes. Not saying, and so when that particular doctor who had honestly no business doing a public diagnosis of him without actually examining him or doing it at all, really, said that about residual neurological damage. I'm not counting out that could be the case. I think all these fighters have it. But Errol, through that car accident, it really could be a situation where it gets kind of caught up to him, and it caught up to him over time. But whatever the case is, especially if he didn't go through a lot of therapy and really good therapy. But at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to the rematch. And why am I looking forward to it? I might as well. And I definitely hope Errol puts up a better show. And then we'll see what happens with the rest of his career, what happens with the rest of Terrence Crawford's career. And I'm sure we'll get good fights and everybody be happy and all that good old stuff as time goes on. But anyway, Claressa Shields saying that, I hope that she's right. She did originally pick Terrence Crawford to beat Errol, if I do recall correctly. But the funny thing is that nobody saw that particular type of performance out of Errol Spence. So look, man, it'll be what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.